Hey guys, it's Adam here from Blend. Hope you're doing well. We are now into the second week of our 12 days of Black Friday, Cyber Monday learning. And I hope you've really enjoyed, obviously, the presentations and the live sessions that we've had so far. Great to see lots of comments last week saying that you really appreciate kind of how hands-on and obviously, sort of how much information we were covering off in these small sessions. Now, I'm really pleased to have Tyler with me from Rewind, who are one of our partners here at Blend. And basically, what I would say is with Rewind is that they kind of address a problem that I think a lot of Shopify merchants don't actually know too much about. And I know Tyler will probably kind of give some more information on that in a second. But I think what I'm going to do is probably just kind of hand it over to Tyler, because I know I've probably all given you a bit of intrigue there about what Tyler is going to be talking about here. So Tyler, thank you very much for being with us today and welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam, and the Blend team for having us. Yes, for everyone listening in here, I am Tyler. I look after the partner program here at Rewind, which is lovely because I get to work with great folks like Adam day in, day out, get to know himself, his team, and obviously, of course, everyone he works with. And as he mentioned there, yes, one thing that is an interesting problem that some Shopify merchants come across is the topic of backup and business continuity and what happens when mistakes happen, really, which is inevitable in whether you're working in e-commerce or whether you're a contractor building houses. Mistakes happen day in, day out. It doesn't matter what exactly market you're in for your job. I'll jump in, I'll show the platform, but I figured I would tease, as the title says, there's some data loss misconceptions. And the number one thing that is a very common misconception when it comes to protecting your data within your business is that Shopify, for example, will cover you if you were to ever lose any data, which is really where we come in and where we solve the problem. Is that the number one misconception when we poll our users is that they, coming into signing on with Rewind, they would expect that if a mistake would happen, they can just contact their merchant success manager or contact Shopify support or any platform that they're on, really, and expect that can be back up and running just like that, which really isn't the case. And that's really where we come in. Make sure that you're always up, especially when you're preparing for things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? You really don't want to have any downtime on such a monumental weekend of sales. You want to make sure that if anything was to happen, you can be back up and running just like that. Awesome. So I'll dive in here and I will share my screen and show you guys what the tool looks like. Awesome. So you should be seeing a very basic standard backend of an admin platform on a Shopify store. This is actually just a demo store we have internally here at Rewind. You can see we have a couple different products there. I'm going to be covering off, how easy it is to recover a product that is lost, which really is the second misconception when it comes to data loss and keeping your business secure. Is that if a mistake was to happen, recovering lost data is quick and easy, just like that. Even if you build the store yourself or you are constantly in the back end day in, day out, making changes, making edits, you would expect that you can just have it back up and running right away, which it could be true if you're a wizard and you're in there, that's your only day-to-day job. But the reality is you probably have competing priorities as a successful merchant, and adding products or spending your weekend putting code back in is probably not your ideal case. You're probably going to contact your agency like Blend and say, hey, I need you guys to help me right away. And chances are they may be busy too. So we want to make sure you're in the position to just click a button and be back up and running just like that. So Rewind, just like most apps, can be found just by accessing the App Store here. I've actually gone ahead and opened it up already. So what you'll see, just as I refresh my page here, we open up to a separate portal. So we have our own data centers running through Amazon Web Services. So adding that extra layer of security for your data as well, making sure everything's covered off in a separate portal, whether, for example, it was to be a malicious attack, we have you guys covered there, that extra layer of security for your information. You can see here, we have this list of all items, which is going to be monitoring all changes to your store. So product deletion, products updated. You can see things there like shipping zones. This isn't a live store, but if it's a live store, you'd see, orders being processed, things like that, all be kind of populating in this list here. Blog post changes, everything like that would all be coming up here. If you want to do something a little bit more in depth, say you had an employee go in and you would ask them to remove all of your sale prices after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for example, and accidentally delete all of your products. Sounds a bit crazy, but it happens more than you would imagine just because it's that easy. A tool like Shopify has been built so well to make it as intuitive and easy to use as you can, but with intuition and ease of use comes, potential wrong clicks or mistakes here and there, and that can be catastrophic in the wrong time. So say, for example, I lose, all of my products off of a mistake. I can easily come in here, I can select products, I can select the date and time that I want to restore to. So say I ran it back up, an hour ago, I can easily back up to that time, nothing, as if nothing happened. All my products will be live back on my store just like that. Speaking of backups, you can also choose to run a backup whenever you would like up here, or we do that daily as well in case you aren't in there editing. We want to make sure you always have a live update of your store as well. You can see with the advanced restore, for example, like a mass backup you can do, or a mass restore, sorry. You can do things with your blogs, your collections, your customers, say any of that data was ever lost. You can also get into, say, product images or theme, for example. All really important information that you can cover off and back up as quick as possible without having to, like I mentioned, spend that weekend repairing things that you probably have some more exciting things to do, especially before we lose the nice weather here. So if I come back into all items, you can see I've made a couple changes. So for example, I can click on this red pepper. If you guys have caught the theme of the store, it's apples. So obviously a pepper doesn't necessarily belong in my Apple store here. So you can see when I click into a product, I have, the current version that's live. I also have, I can select the previous version. So for example, I can select the change that was before I made this edit. This is just a high level view. I can also click on something more technical in the source code and actually scroll and see what was changed. So you'll see the changes will be highlighted in green, or if there's a deletion, they'll be highlighted in red, which is kind of nice, a really quick bird's eye view. So you can see here, this was red apple. It was, someone mistakenly changed to red pepper. So I woke up in the morning, I checked my store, I noticed that, a mistake happened here. I can go in, see what that change was. If I don't like it, I can easily just hit, restore to this version, and I click yes, restore. Process in a couple minutes. You can see an email has been sent out here that restore is in place. I'll wait a couple minutes. We actually have all of our changes on a 5-minute timer so that you can do as much as possible. If you want to re-edit, go back and forth, or use actually I don't like that change I just made, you can kind of fix it without having anything pushed to live. You can also have this pushed to a sandboxer if you wanted as well. You can completely have that kind of edit and capability of what you would like to do when it comes to making changes there. And then in a couple seconds here, we'll be able to go back out to the live Shopify store, and we'll see that, my product is now going to be called a red apple again. My price is going to be reflective of what I wanted it called. I have a very special red apple. It's, 500 USD per apple. Very exciting stuff. But I want to make sure, obviously, that price is reflected and shown in the live version as well.
I think, Brad, just one of the things I was going to say there, Tyler, if you're watching in at the moment, guys, and it's, I think regardless, the kind of the size of the Shopify store that you are, I think that's one of the beauty of obviously kind of using Rewind, because I think, when Tyler, I think probably we first spoke, along with some of your colleagues at Rewind, I think, it's definitely that, like you said, that misconception that you do have a lot backed up by Shopify and you can essentially press the back button, which, is unfortunately not possible. So regardless of whether you're making like the small changes, like you mentioned there, right up to, kind of agencies who are maybe working on clients' behalf, it really does serve as a very useful tool for all shapes and sizes of business, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I won't touch on really pricing or anything like that, but our pricing, for example, reflects that. It scales based on your size of your store and how much volume you're doing. So it's always an applicable price point for your size, because what we really want to cover off, and I've used the term backups a lot, but really it is business continuity, making sure that yourself as a merchant, you don't have to worry or lose sleep at night that your store could be down and you're losing sales based off of maybe being an international business, and you could be based in the UK, but you could have a very large presence in Australia or North America, and based on when you're sleeping, your store could be down and you're missing out on those sales. We want to make sure that you have that peace of mind that you're always up. If things are a problem, you're going to be alerted. You're going to know that you could have some issues here, and you can have click of a button, you're back up, and you're not necessarily losing any revenue there. Awesome. So if I come back here, I should be fortunate enough, I'll hit the refresh button and you'll see, I think we've probably got close to that 5-minute timer. It's been pushed back live. We now have all of our apples back restored. This is obviously, a very basic demo store, but the more complicated, your products, the more easier this is going to be for you. You want to make sure that you have the information in here. For example, things like product images, right? Most successful merchants out there, spend a lot of time investing in having, good images of their products that are live in their store. Something goes down, you want to make sure that you can have that back up and running efficiently, but not only have the product live with, say, your price tag associated with it, you want to make sure you have that information associated to the images, the detail, make sure that you have it live so you can associate your reviews from your other apps to that product as well. That's data that's imperative for a business to be run successfully, and we want to make sure you can have that right away without having any issues there. And that probably leads me to my last, data loss misconception here as well, is that if the third misconception is that, if I'm an admin in the back end of my store and I'm careful, I don't make mistakes, my data is safe, which is typically true, but there's a lot of things that can lead to errors, right? It's not just human error. That's obviously a really common way that, data can be lost, but it can be things like, a bad CSV import. You and your colleague are working in an Excel sheet or another app that, Excelify, things like that, and you don't communicate that you hit a column and you go to import. That could lead to data loss, right? Those are very common things that can go wrong. A third-party plugin could break. Or it could be a malicious attack. Obviously, I never want to see that happen to anybody, but that happens in reality as well. So the truth here is that, just because you're being very careful, or just because you hired an excellent agency like Blend to cover off, everything, you want to make sure that you have that extra layer of coverage, extra layer of security, just in case anything's ever happened. Then everyone can, like I said, not lose any sleep at night, always be up and always having those sales come in.
100%. Great. Well, look, Tyler, that's been fantastic. I think were there any other points you kind of wanted to add before asking any questions? Sorry, Tyler.
No, I think that covers off. I mean, one thing I will add that we didn't really touch much on, because obviously I wouldn't really want to focus on the backup side of our product as well, is we do have a copy product as well, which really is focused on if you're opening any additional stores, whether say you have a UK store and you want to open a .eu or a .com or a .au store, you can easily take that data, push it from a live store to a sandbox store, a live store to a live store, without having to rebuild that information, which really comes in handy with working agencies like yourself, as you guys can focus on some more customized localization efforts rather than really spending the time on the back end there.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the good things probably to cover off here is that a lot of merchants, obviously, when they first come across, obviously thinking about using Rewind, is that I think it's getting over the fact that not everything is going to be safe and secure. And I don't mean that it isn't safe. What I do mean is, obviously, if those mistakes happen, or if the inevitable happens and things don't go as planned, what would you say are the most sort of common things that happen? The reason that people then obviously use the tool that is Rewind. I know you mentioned a couple of different examples there, but just commonly kind of speaking, what are the most typical mistakes or things that happen where people end up tapping into the storage of Rewind?
For sure, it's definitely human error is definitely the most common, and that comes in a bunch of different shapes and sizes, right? Whether it is you're someone like yourself who is a Shopify expert that just is in the back end. Say you're editing some theme and you just a little bit of code, you make a little code change, didn't mean to, and then that breaks, right? That happens to people like us who have been in the back end for a long time. Everyone makes those mistakes. Or you are a very experienced Shopify admin and you have a lot of competing priorities, and you delegate some work to a more junior employee, or an employee that has been working at your business for a while but has never really been in the back end of an e-commerce tool, and they make a change without truly realizing exactly what they're doing. It's crazy how common that one is, really, because the day-to-day, obviously, I talk to a lot of agencies, a lot of merchants, and that is a super common. You want to get people, as a merchant, you want to get people in your business involved in day-to-day tasks outside of maybe what exactly their role is. And Shopify is obviously, e-commerce in general, is a soaring concept in the world, and employees that you have at your business might want to get involved more and more in that. So you delegate a couple tasks, and it's not that, like, Shopify is, like I said before, it's built out to be such an easy to use tool, and anyone can truly dive in and understand it, whether you're a first time merchant, or you've been running a retail business forever and you're very successful. It's anyone can jump in and use it, but at the same time, anyone can click the wrong button and have that problem there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make a good point there, because like for example, when we're working with a client, there might be us working on it as an agency. The client might be doing some work in there. And then you might have to say like a specific SEO agency. And obviously with 3 different groups, 3 different ways of working, there's always going to be, someone somewhere who will make a small mistake. Look, it happens, like you say. So I think, it's really worth kind of raising that point, that it's something to kind of look at now, specifically at the time, because I know a lot of people are ramping up for Black Friday Cyber Monday, making those changes to the store, as well as obviously having that protection for Black Friday Cyber Monday that you spoke about, in case obviously things really kind of do go amiss. So Tyler, look, that's been really, really useful. I think we had a really nice overview there, and kind of we can see, from your demonstration there, kind of how simple it is to use. If people want to kind of get a bit more information, what's the best thing for them to do?
Absolutely. You can go, our site is rewind.io, or you can go to the App Store and find us. I believe you can also, my contact information, I believe you have as well, Adam, that it might be posted somewhere as well, but it's just Tyler at rewind.io. Happy to connect, answer any questions anyone has. And the walkthrough, even if they want to dive in a little bit more in depth and kind of talk through a couple concepts or use cases they might have, it's our tool, just like Shopify and a bunch of other apps we all work with, right? It's been built out to be as easy to use as possible, so that you can really focus on putting more into your business rather than having to worry about things, fixing things you've already done. And that's where we've really come in here.
Excellent. Well, look, thanks ever so much, Tyler, for joining us. Thank you guys obviously for tuning in as well. What I'm going to do is, if you haven't had a chance to download the Shopify Outlook book that is obviously accompanying these 12 days of Black Friday Cyber Monday learning, you can download that using the link that I've shared. And please do again join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. EST or 3 p.m. UK. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
No problem. Thanks, Tyler.